Hey, welcome back to day 14 of Vlogmas. If you don't know who I am, my name is Katlyn Duncan. I'm a hybrid author, which means I publish both traditional and independent books. Here are a few of them if you'd like to check them out. And here on my channel, we talk about the writing process and all the bookish things. So if that at all interests you, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell next to it so you know the next time I upload. So today is a busy Monday and I'm actually going to be double dipping here. And I am going through editing Vlogmas Day 13 while I chat with you for a little bit. Basically what I'm doing now, the fact that I can do it simultaneously, is that I'm sort of removing all of like the dead airspace of my edit. That's like my first run through for my edits, and then I go in later after that and I watch it to, you know, make sure it flows and make sure I put all the fun stuff in, like music and pictures and all that fun stuff. So this morning is sort of my late morning. I do have a mastermind meeting on Mondays with another author friend of mine, and we do talk about all of our plans for the week and everything. So that is usually later at night, so I wake up later to compensate for that, because if I woke up at my normal 5 o'clock, would not be very good. So and I'd sort of like be on top of myself, like trying to make up lost time for sleep. So this morning I just did a couple things on the computer, nothing super author related. I did have a coaching session. I had a mini coaching session with the Better Faster Academy. I'll put their Patreon link in the description if you're interested in checking them out. It's through all of the strength stuff I usually talk about, the Clifton Strengths Strengths Finder test. And I had a specific question about my balancing multiple projects. So with my strengths, my first strength, intellection, is a strategic thinking strength, but I lead with the executing domain, which means that a lot of my strengths in my top 10, which are usually like the more natural abilities that you have, there are more executing, which means I like to be doing more than thinking. So I just had a question about how to deal with multiple projects and all of that good stuff. So the coach I had, Ellie, was fantastic. So they do these micro coaching every month for a certain tier. I think it's the $25 tier that you go in and you basically are in a group Zoom and you have about 10 minutes to talk to a coach versus, you know, getting a full hour session with them. And I didn't have like, I mean, I can always talk about strengths, but I didn't have enough of a question to like last for a whole hour, so I just did the $25 one. She basically told me that I should be checking in with my projects every single day and sort of journaling about it. I mean, I have never been the type of person to like actually journal. I mean, I journaled a bit like when I was in high school, but nothing like serious in my adult life. So I don't really like the idea of that, but she says journaling could be like bullet points or a few sentences or anything. So that feels really good to me. So I actually worked on that while other people were, you know, sharing their questions and everything. So I feel really good about moving forward with these projects. I don't want to feel like I'm forgetting things, which I always feel like I'm forgetting something. I touched one of the 3 projects today. I am working on sort of a secret project. It's sort of an experiment that I will possibly turn into a YouTube series at some point, maybe. I'm not sure yet, but I think it's a cool experiment. It's a cool like publishing experiment that I wanted to delve into. It's one of those things that it would take a while for me to like do all the filming and everything, because I want it to take place over several months, if not a whole year. I don't know how I want to structure that yet, so we shall see. Yeah, that's really basically all on my agenda for today. Other than the mastermind meeting, it's really just, you know, a Monday for me. For you, it's a Thursday, I believe. What I'm gonna do for the rest of the day is sort of brainstorm what I want to be doing this week. I did go over that, my plan sort of for the week, or things that I want to be thinking about yesterday in that blog. So I do need to do my newsletter this week, and I want to start thinking about my plans for 2022 in terms of like concrete things I want to be doing, and not necessarily like setting pre-order dates or anything like that for my books, but I want to like plan for each quarter of the year, which I went to a conference, over Zoom, over I think a couple months ago, and I just have to review all that. It's the Courageous Content with Janet Murray, which I believe I mentioned before. So I'm actually planning, maybe I'll go over that. I like to have sort of something in the background when I'm doing stuff, and I think that will help jumpstart me to like create a plan and then create content around that plan. I am a person who doesn't believe that like social media sells books, but having a platform and creating content and all that and things that you can definitely like repurpose is definitely something I want to have on my agenda. And I think there has to be a balance of at some point. Probably what I'm gonna do, I'm sort of thinking about it as I'm chatting. So definitely my newsletter, and maybe creating a plan to review all of those videos from that conference. So in case you didn't know, I have an Ask Me Anything post on my YouTube community tab. I will link that in the description. So during Vlogmas, I am answering any questions that you might have, any specific questions about publishing or writing or anything like that. I'm happy to feature it. So I usually do one question per video, and this is my last question that I have. So feel free to ask any more, or you can leave a comment on any Vlogmas video, and I will try to add that to the mix. So today's question is from Julie from Pages and Pens. Is there anything that surprised you about the self-publishing process? Your best advice for someone dipping a toe in? Okay, so anything that surprised me about the self-publishing process. I guess it's more of like how long it takes to do everything. With traditional publishing, an author tends to just deal with the book and the marketing. Being a publisher, which is what I am when I self-publish my books, it's so much more than that. There's so many tiny little details. There's so many little decisions you have to make at every point in the process. Like, there is no one making decisions for you. There's no one commenting on any decisions you make when it comes to covers or back cover blurbs or anything like that. So I think I just was surprised by how much time a lot of this stuff took, and especially when it comes to being a wide author. So I'm a wide author, which means that I publish my book on as many platforms as possible. On the other hand, when people say exclusive, that usually means exclusive to Amazon in the KDP Select program, which is like Kindle Unlimited type of books. So because I publish wide and I try to publish direct to all of the platforms that I can, for instance, that is Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Kobo, and Apple Books, I do go direct to all of those platforms, and then I use Draft2Digital to cover a lot of the library apps and everything else and other platforms where you can't necessarily publish direct with them. Some people tend to just use a distributor like Draft2Digital for all of their books, and they don't want to be fussed with, uploading to all of these different vendors. So I sort of created like the least amount of time for myself to do stuff. Like, this is like the most time consuming process, is actually publishing my book. So I'd say that part definitely has surprised me, and learning a lot about about the nuances of each platform and the different types of promotions you can do. So I would say that is the thing that most surprised me. And my best advice for someone dipping a toe in, I mean, there's so much advice I can give you, but the best piece of advice would be to probably take your time on the first one and definitely make notes. So for instance, as I mentioned, a lot of these platforms have different nuances to them. I would recommend, if your intention is to self-publish a lot of books and you're just starting off, create systems on the ground level. So create a system for how to upload to Amazon, what information that you need, what information you need to upload to different platforms, how long does it take you to write a book? How long does it take you to edit a book? Listing out all your contacts for covers, listing out all your contacts for editors, like having some sort of dump of information that you can access per book, so you're not reinventing the wheel every time. So I created an asset list, upload notes, and sort of a process for myself in Notion. You could pretty much use whatever you want. You could use a notebook, you could use Excel, you could use Word, whatever, Google Docs, whatever. So I would just recommend creating systems for yourself, just so that the next time it's much easier, and the time after that and everything, you sort of create like a well-oiled machine. Because when thinking about being a publisher, I definitely understand why publishers have all of these marketing teams, and they have this production team, and they have all of these different types of teams, because those are like mini ecosystems of systems, and you definitely need that if you're going to be successful, and you don't want to miss any steps either, or upload something wrong, especially with the platform like Ingram Spark. You do have to pay every time you have a revision, so preventing yourself from wasting money in that sense would be helpful. So I hope that answered your question, Julie. Thank you so much for commenting. And again, if you want me to answer any questions during Vlogmas, do let me know in either the comments of this video or any of the other videos, or in that AMA post. So now we are going to the advent calendar. Not sure the sun's gonna let me focus here, but it looks like this is Toby. Mean Toby. We all hate him, right, Michael? Just kidding. We love Toby. Also, too, there's a bald spot on his head, which I think is really funny. And he's also holding a little coffee mug. I'm trying to get it into the sun to get you more light, but this is just failing me today. But anyway, we're gonna add him to the gang. So it's end of night here. I have finished my mastermind meeting and I have a plan for the week. It's pretty much the same plan that I had. My editing, newsletter, Vlogmas, and I'm going to plan a rewatch of that conference that I mentioned, and hopefully that'll shake loose a lot of plans. I do want to focus much more on editing this week and finishing the book, and then next week I want to do more of the planning setup and everything, and then we planned for the end of the month to have sort of a group session about goals for 2022 and like what our ideal plans would be for the whole year versus just like goals for the week, which we usually mention. So I think that'll be fun and I'm really excited for that, and I'm really pumped to finish out this week if I can, and then you'll be able to see some of the planning stuff for next week, hopefully. I really want to get this book done, at least this draft. So I'm gonna wrap it up here and I'll see you tomorrow.